pals, non-binary pals, welcome back to my channel and thank you so much for clicking on today's video. My name is Ash. You'll probably see Miss Gloria jumping around in the background at some point throughout this video. Today we are going to be talking about the top 10 most influential lesbian couples of the past 25 years. Now, I'm being a little bit generous with that 25 years. We may go a year or two on either side of that. And I just want to start off by saying that these are my personal choices. You know, I wasn't able to poll a mass audience for this. And the people I've picked and the numbering probably has a bit to do with my age too. I am an older millennial. So I'm 1986, December 86, so I'm right in that first half of millennials. So there's some TV shows on here who the younger audiences might not remember, and there's also some TV shows on here that maybe people who are older now don't watch because they were geared towards a younger audience currently. So I've done my best, tried to be as fair as possible. And of course, you know, this is an L-word channel, so of course had to put some L-word couples in there too, but not oversaturated. So I hope you understand why I've picked who I've picked. I will explain as we go along, and also some people I will put in my little personal why I think this. So without further ado, let's get into it and roll on with number 10. I mean, this is kind of a controversial thing now, I guess, because at number 10 I am picking Ellen and Laurie from The Ellen Show, and I'm pretty sure I'd be surprised if there's someone watching this video who doesn't know who Ellen is. She's gone through a little bit of a controversy lately with her staff and things, but you can't really take away from the fact that back in the 90s when Ellen came out, it was a big deal. So you got to put her in there, and she did go, you know, when she came out on time, she disappeared, her show was cancelled, and she had like a rise again. There's a lot of people in the LGBTQ community who are very critical of Ellen. You know, she has a friendship with former President George Bush, and there's a, you know, as I said, the whole thing with her employees. And just generally a lot of people have not so great feedback to her personally, and those people are totally entitled to those opinions and to say those things. And then there are people who absolutely love and adore her. I will say most people I know who like Ellen are straight. I don't know very many, especially lesbians, that like her. So I mean, again, that could just be my friends and people I know. So I've just always thought it was interesting. But top 10, she's in there just for the sheer impact of her coming out. Coming in at number 9 is Shane and Carmen from The L Word. And I've put them in here because I have another couple further up in the top 10. No prizes for guessing who, and with Shane and Carmen, I feel as though they did deserve their own place in the top 10, because although the L Word was very impactful for the gay community, most people I know outside of LGBTQ community that watch the show are really drawn especially to Shane and Carmen, and well, Kate Manning. Most straight women I know who watch the show really like Kate Manning, and I just think that they were more of the straight audience's ship, so they were very impactful. And you know, people now, even when people ask about my YouTube channel and I say, oh, I talk about the L Word, if they're straight, most of the time, if they're aware of the show, they tell me, oh, I love Shane. So gotta put them in there. Number 8, I'm sure some people will be surprised that I'm featuring them on this list, but that is Carol and Susan from Friends. And although, yes, there was a lot of jokes at their expense, we did get to see a lesbian wedding in the 90s, and they just were there. Like, yes, they were there to be kind of the butt of the joke a lot of the time, but they didn't conform to these like very crude stereotypes. They were just two women, like very normal, and they didn't feel the need to make them these like cartoon caricatures. And honestly, I think Carol and Susan may have been definitely one of definitely the first lesbian wedding I saw on television, but I think that they were some of the first lesbians that I ever was exposed to in the media. And when I was growing up, I really loved Friends, so I just really appreciated having that tiny slither of representation. So is there a lot of work that needs to be done? Yes, but also they were there, and that's a lot more than a lot of other shows gave us. Coming in at number 7 is a real blast from the past for me, and that is Marissa and Alex, one of 3 Alexes featured on this list from the OC. And this was just really impactful for me personally, and most lesbians around my age, because I moved to America when I was 17, and the OC had just had its first season, and it was the biggest thing in the world. And when I was a junior in high school, the second season came out. It was my first year living in America. I got a girlfriend, my first girlfriend, within 2 months of starting in America. And we used to have, like, we went to an all-girls school, so we used to have like this, I'm describing this and I'm like, this sounds awful, but we used to have like OC sleepovers and every like watch parties. And we would, because again, this is 2004, so the world and tech and stuff is different. And when Alex and Marissa were together, like, my first girlfriend and I just thought it was the best thing in the world. And I don't know how people didn't clock. Like, I think at one stage we made shirts also. So in, you know, a fantastic pantomime that I was still calling heterosexuality, and people like were really shocked when I came out. So, but then things like this, I'm like, really? Anyway, Alex and Marissa were very short-lived, but it was, I cannot explain how big the OC was. Like, every teenager, 20-something, and I mean UK, US, like from boarding school, I had friends all over the world. Everyone loved the show. It was like a ratings bonanza, and Olivia Wilde played Alex, who, still love you, Olivia. And it just was a huge thing. And again, they were just there, and Alex was bi, which again, there's so little bi representation. I know that bisexuals, you know, really get the short end of the stick that way, and it just was great. There was no crude stereotypes either, and I just really, really enjoyed them as a couple, and it was great, especially for big OC fans at the time. The OC is one of those shows that I haven't rewatched in probably like at least 10 years, and I kind of want to keep it in my memory preserved the way it is, because I think if I watch it, it will be like every other show that I rewatch from my youth that is so problematic that I'll just leave it in my head and remember Alex and Marissa. I think I even got my hair colored like the same as Alex or something, but yeah, the OC, special place in my heart. Number 6 on the list is from really the medical drama before Grey's Anatomy, and that is Carrie and Sandy from ER. And I know there's this whole big, if you're a millennial or a Gen Zer, whether you watched ER or Grey's Anatomy, and I fall into that really narrow, small window where I was obsessed with both. Well, still obsessed with Grey's Anatomy. And ER was on for, I think, 15 seasons. I watched that from I can remember. And they did have Carrie, who was the emergency room physician. I mean, she was the chief of the ER. And then Sandy was the firefighter chief. And it's like kind of the way actually in Grey's Anatomy the fire chief is gay there too, and she's dating a surgeon, so it's all, you know, reused. But I'm joking. And ER, you know, they did unfortunately fall into this trope, spoiler alert, that Sandy did die, and there is that whole thing of like burying the gays, but it was representation, and Carrie did go through this really difficult process of coming out at work and even to herself, so it was another tiny slither of representation in the 90s and early aughts. So ER, still love that show, and yeah, Grey's Anatomy as well, but ER is the OG. Number 5 on the list is featuring our second of 3 Alexes, and that is Alex and Maggie from Supergirl. And this is one of the shows that I think maybe not a ton of people watch, because it is a newer show and it doesn't have an enormous audience. But Alex is played by Chyler Lee, who was Lexi in Grey's Anatomy, and she had a really great coming out story on the show. It was just really realistic. She came out a little bit older, like her, I think she's supposed to be about late 20s, but it was just really great the way they did it. And Chyler Lee is a great actress too. And unfortunately they did split up because the actress who played Maggie had to go. She had another contract on another show, and they do have Alex with someone else now on the show. But Maggie and Alex were just fantastic, and I really liked how they did her whole coming out story and stuff. And the whole Arrowverse, like Supergirl, The Flash, Arrow, they are really good about representation and stuff. So it is, I really like Supergirl. Superman and Lois is the new one, and I did like Arrow and The Flash as well. And there's all types of representation on those shows, not just LGBTQ, so go and check it out if you're looking for something good to watch. The crossovers are really good too. And of course, Ruby Rose was playing the lead on Batwoman, and she was playing the character as a gay woman, and the character is gay, so that was awesome. But of course, after a year she quit. So still go and watch those shows. They are surprisingly good, even though they are geared towards more of like a younger audience, like WB, CW sort of thing, UPN. So they're worth it. Coming in at number 4 is a awesome couple from a super special show to me, and that is Willow and Tara from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I mean, Buffy is my original obsession. I absolutely love the show. I love Sarah Michelle Gellar. Like, all my friends, when I came out, they were like, oh, so you had a crush on Sarah Michelle Gellar all that time? And I was like, yes, I do. So yeah, she's awesome. I've talked on the channel before. I know a lot of the cast from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I've worked with a lot of them, and they are awesome people. And not to make this video super, you know, I don't want to say political, but just super whatever, woke or what, you know. Previously, I really did love Joss Whedon's work, but obviously things that have come out about him are just completely disgusting. And having known a lot of the cast, I completely am with them, with Charisma Carpenter and everyone else who's gone through some sort of pain inflicted from him. But that does not mean that you still cannot enjoy their work. those actresses and actors put in a lot of hard work into those shows. So I still love Buffy. I think it is one of the best television shows ever, period. If you haven't watched it, you are seriously missing out. I cannot overstate enough how wonderful this show is. And getting some representation, Buffy ran from 97 to 2003. And for mostly the noughties part of that, Willow and Tara were on the show, and I'm pretty sure they had like the first proper lesbian kiss on television, and they're just great as well in the show. Like Alison Hannigan obviously plays Willow. If people aren't familiar with the show, and Ava Benson plays Tara. They are both great actresses. As I said, the writing is just amazing. Nothing is overdone or stereotypical apart from when, spoiler alert, you know, the whole bury the gay things again. But it is a fantastic show, fantastic couple. If you have not watched Buffy the Vampire Slayer, I promise you, you will like it. If I cannot get you to watch it just by telling you how fantastic it is, L Word fans, Jennifer Beals' favorite show is also Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which is why it's clear she's a genius. And she even, at those paparazzi pictures, I'll put them on the screen if I can find them, of her wearing a Buffy and Angel shirt, which I just absolutely love. So that, like, Jennifer Beals wearing a Buffy shirt is like the stuff of my dreams. So go watch Buffy if you haven't seen it. Number 3 on the list is from another great television show, and it is the third Alex in our list, and that is Piper and Alex from Orange is the New Black. And I think, one, I love them as a couple on the show. I think they're great. I love both the actresses too. And I also think it's really cool that, like, obviously most of the cast is women, pretty much all the leads are women, and there's a lesbian couple as the lead couple on the show, and a show that basically changed the way we watch television. I know that that's like a really bold claim to make, but Orange is the New Black is the first show that Netflix made themselves, and it was the first time that like a streaming service made a show that, you know, now so many, all the streaming services make amazing content, and Orange is the New Black was the first one to do this. I really enjoyed all the seasons of the show. I mean, some a lot more than others, especially in that heyday when they did like the 3-season renewal and they were like riding high. It was great. The only season 2, they didn't even realize how successful the show was going to be, because Laura Prepton, who played Alex, she actually didn't sign on for all the episodes in season 2 because she had something else to film. And, you know, she obviously came back and did all the seasons after that. But it's another great show, really great couple. And yeah, there's a lot of will they, won't they. But I did, in the same way that they did with the L Word in season 6, but they let them kind of be happy and not, like, they did mess around a little bit in the last season when Piper was out, but they did keep them together, and I think that was really sweet, because that's not what happened in, if you read like the real story, the real Piper who wrote the book. But yeah, it's a really good show, and you should definitely check it out if you want some really good representation, because there is a lot of representation in that show also. So Orange is the New Black on Netflix, definitely worth a watch. Number 2 on the list, I'm sure I'm gonna have to answer for this, because some people will argue that this couple should have been number 1, but I have my reasoning, so wait until the end until you comment. But number 2 on the list is Bette and Tina from The L Word, and one, I wanted to put them in there because they were such a huge thing for a huge part of the lesbian community. I mean, they are the lead couple of the show. Jennifer Beals is the lead, the star power of the L Word, and no one can deny, no matter, I know there's some people that don't like Bette Tina, and that's absolutely fine. They're not for everyone, and it would be really boring if we all liked the same things. But you cannot deny the absolute chemistry that exists between the two of them. They are fantastic, and you can see that this is not replicated when they are in other relationships on the show. So they just have that lightning in a bottle between the two of them, and I am so glad that we are getting Laura Holloman and of course Jennifer Beals back on Generation Q. And just this show in general, I mean, it's obviously done more than probably all the rest on this list, because it was just lesbians being lesbians. Like, it didn't, it wasn't this ratings gimmick, it wasn't this coming out storyline, it wasn't this big death, it wasn't this just thing for a minute. It was a show about women, not necessarily for women, anyone can enjoy it. And the way that the cast was able to just be their characters, they weren't someone's wife or someone's daughter or someone's mistress or girlfriend or sister. They were all the lead characters. They were complicated, messy, wild. The show went from amazing, like season 5, to how the hell is this the same show, season 6? But even in season 6, we did have some great, happy Bette and Tina content. So the rest, I can leave it. But I mean, there's nothing else that I can say about the L Word that I haven't already said, and I will link some videos below in the cards and at the end, that if you're finding this channel for the first time, let me tell you, you are in for a treat if the L Word intrigues you, because I have about 150 videos about it. So there's definitely a lot more to talk about. So have a look around my channel. You'll like it. So number 1 on the list, I'm sure a couple of people have guessed, but number 1 on the list for impact is Callie and Arizona from Grey's Anatomy. And I have very strong reasons for this, because one, Jessica Capshaw is an amazing actress. Sarah Ramirez, they are also amazing actor, wonderful people. They both have great storylines individually on the show and as a couple. I cannot say enough great things about the both of them. And the main thing about Grey's Anatomy and why I picked them as the number 1 couple is because Grey's Anatomy is just, the impact of that show is so far reaching that it just cannot be understated how amazing it was to have representation like this on the show. And I know Callie was with a few other people before, and then Arizona was on the show a little bit longer afterwards, but they were such an amazing couple in the same way with Jennifer Beals and Laura Holloman. Like, I feel like Sarah Ramirez and Jessica Capshaw just had that lightning in a bottle, and so many people just really enjoyed them. And also, Grey's Anatomy is still, on season 17, the number 1 show on ABC. Like, that is insane. And the only reason that I think the show would end, which there's weird talks at the moment that it might, but the only reason it would is because they don't want to go on. Like, they're number 1. They could get another season if they want. It's only negotiations with contracts and things. But seeing Callie and Arizona from day 1 and they like having their wedding and being shown to the millions and millions and millions of people. And the other thing about Grey's Anatomy and why it's so impactful is because it's being streamed on Netflix and there's new fans every single day. Like, I have put people onto the show within the last few weeks and they've started watching it. And this show, 17 seasons at least worth, are constantly going to be bringing in new viewers. And I'm in a Grey's Anatomy group on Facebook, and I mean, the group alone has 250,000 people in it, and it's just like constant. There's constant, and I mean, not, you know, a couple of comments, I mean there's hundreds of thousands of comments an hour. And just see the people in the group like talking about their favorite couples and things, and just to see Callie and Arizona and some people who are completely straight and like, you know, they rank them as the number one couple. Like, I know that's a weird thing to say, but it just, they're there like everyone else, and that power and that impact can never be understated. To have a lead lesbian couple on a TV show, the number one scripted TV show, like, it's amazing. And honestly, like, I was a kid and I was watching, you know, television things, I would have killed to have this sort of representation, and that's why it is still so important to me as an adult, and I just love it. I think it's great. I love all the couples on this list, well, most of them. I love all the shows. Again, you know, if you're having to stay home and you have not seen some of these shows, I highly, highly recommend Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Orange is the New Black, of course, Grey's Anatomy and the L Word, and also give Supergirl a chance. It's a good one too, I promise. So let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. Am I wrong? Should Bette Tina have beat out Callie in Arizona? And who else did I miss? You know, there's some shows that I don't watch, or there's some people that, you know, they would have wanted them on the list. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Of course, if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like, as it really, really helps out the channel. And if you're not already subscribed, make sure to subscribe, join my channel. It really, really helps the channel out. And, you know, I'm a slave to the YouTube algorithm gods. So also don't forget to follow me on social media to keep up with everything L-word related, LGBTQ related, my channel related, in between my videos. And if you would like to support the channel, go and check out my merch. The link is in the description box down below. I have lots of L-word merch and also some brand new Miss Gloria merch. It is adorable. It's a little cartoon Miss Gloria. It's so cute. I'm going to be giving away some of my channel soon. So again, make sure you're subscribed, because if you're subscribed, you can win the merch. And also make sure to join me live on Fridays, and go to my channel to learn more about LCon, which is happening in 2 weeks, which is a L-word special with some of the other L-word creators and content makers. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. You know, I really, really appreciate it. Make sure to check out the first episode of my brand new podcast, Nice Ladies. And if you enjoyed that one about Brittany, check out episode 2 when it comes out this week. Thanks so much, guys. Make sure to stay safe, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye, guys. See you later. Bye-bye.